Right now, somewhere in our galaxy, an ancient civilization is making a choice that will determine the fate of intelligence itself. For decades, we have searched the skies for radio signals and massive structures, expecting to find sprawling space empires. But what if every advanced species discovers something far more powerful than conquering stars? What if they all choose to shrink instead of expand, to dive inward rather than reach outward, and to transcend reality itself? If you want to explore the most mind-bending theory about where all the aliens went, hit that like button and subscribe. The answer changes everything we think we know about our cosmic future. Prepare yourselves. We begin. We live in a galaxy with 400 billion stars, yet we have never heard a single alien whisper. This silence haunts every scientist who points a telescope toward the heavens. In 1950, physicist Enrico Fermi sat in a cafeteria and asked the question that still keeps astronomers awake at night. Where is everybody? The numbers should be overwhelming. Our galaxy is over 13 billion years old. Earth formed just 4.5 billion years ago. That means alien civilizations had billions of years to spread across every star system before we even existed. Think of our galaxy like a massive city with 400 billion houses. If even 1 in a million houses developed intelligent life, we should see evidence everywhere. Radio signals, massive construction projects, ships moving between the stars, something. Yet when we scan the cosmic neighborhood, we find nothing but silence. The math becomes even more disturbing when you consider expansion rates. A civilization traveling at just 1%, the speed of light, could colonize our entire galaxy in 10 million years. That sounds like forever to us, but it represents less than 1% of cosmic history. Even slow, methodical expansion should have filled every corner of space long ago. We have built increasingly sensitive instruments to detect any sign of intelligence. The Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence project monitors millions of radio frequencies. Our telescopes can spot the heat signature of alien cities on distant worlds. Orbital observatories scan for the dimming patterns that would indicate massive structures around other stars. Each survey comes back with the same result: nothing. Some scientists suggest we are looking in the wrong places or listening for the wrong signals. Others propose that intelligent life destroys itself before it can spread to the stars. But what if the answer is far stranger than anyone imagined? What if advanced civilizations are out there right now, but they have discovered something so compelling that they no longer care about conquering space? The silence might not mean we are alone. It might mean we are missing the most important discovery in the universe. But to understand why every alien species might be making the same impossible choice, we need to examine what we thought they would build. Astronomers once believed advanced civilizations would announce themselves by building structures visible across the galaxy. The most famous of these theoretical constructions became known as a Dyson sphere. Physicist Freeman Dyson proposed that any species needing vast amounts of energy would eventually surround their star with solar collectors. Picture a shell of satellites and platforms completely encasing the sun, capturing every photon of light for power. From our perspective, the star would appear to dim and flicker as these massive structures passed in front of it. This idea made perfect sense based on human history. We started by burning wood, then coal, then oil, then split the atom. Each breakthrough unlocked exponentially more energy than the last. Following this pattern, an advanced species would eventually need the entire output of their star to fuel their civilization. Building around their sun seemed like the obvious next step. Astronomers began scanning the galaxy for these telltale signatures. They looked for stars that dimmed in strange patterns or emitted unusual infrared radiation. They found a few candidates over the decades. Each time, excitement built in the scientific community. Finally, we had found them. Then, further investigation revealed natural explanations: dust clouds, asteroid swarms, unusual stellar behavior. The search expanded to even more ambitious projects. Theoretical physicists described ring worlds spinning around stars to provide living space for trillions of beings. They envisioned sphere worlds larger than planets, hollow inside and covered with continents. Some proposed that truly advanced species would move entire star systems to more convenient locations, creating artificial galaxies optimized for life. These megastructures would be impossible to hide. A species that could harness the power of stars would leave fingerprints visible from thousands of light years away. Their construction projects would alter the light spectra of entire regions of space. Their waste heat would glow in our infrared detectors like cosmic beacons, announcing their presence. Yet our most sensitive instruments find no evidence of galactic engineering. The universe looks exactly as it would if intelligence had never evolved anywhere except Earth. Every star burns naturally. Every planet orbits predictably. No one appears to be building anything on a cosmic scale. This absence forced scientists to reconsider their basic assumptions about how civilizations develop. Maybe the pattern we expected was completely wrong. Maybe the path to true advancement leads somewhere we never thought to look. What if the greatest discovery was not how to build bigger, but how to think smaller? Every civilization faces the same fundamental challenge when it reaches technological maturity. Energy becomes the bottleneck for everything they want to accomplish. On Earth, we see this pattern playing out in real time. Our computers demand more power each year. Our cities consume electricity at ever-increasing rates. Our transportation systems gulp fuel like hungry giants. Following this trajectory, we would eventually need to capture the entire energy output of our sun just to keep our civilization running. Russian astronomer Nikolai Kardashev formalized this idea in 1964 by creating a scale to measure civilizations based on their energy consumption. A Type 1 civilization can harness all the energy falling on their planet from their star. A Type 2 civilization captures the entire energy output of their sun. A Type 3 civilization commands the power of their entire galaxy. This ladder seemed to represent the natural progression of intelligence. Climb each rung and unlock new possibilities. Type 1 civilizations could control their weather and terraform other worlds. Type 2 civilizations could travel between star systems and build structures the size of planets. Type 3 civilizations would become godlike, reshaping matter and energy on cosmic scales. Following Kardashev logic, any species that survived long enough would eventually become visible across the galaxy. Their energy needs would force them to build massive collection systems around multiple stars. We should see evidence of Type 2 and Type 3 civilizations everywhere we look. Their signature would be unmistakable. But physicists began to notice a problem with this progression. Every rung higher on the energy ladder came with exponentially increasing costs and diminishing returns. Moving matter and energy across interstellar distances requires enormous investments for relatively small gains. Building structures around multiple stars becomes incredibly inefficient when you factor in travel time and maintenance costs. Meanwhile, something else was happening that nobody expected. The most advanced technologies on Earth were actually using less energy while becoming more powerful. Our smartphones contain more computing power than room-sized supercomputers from decades ago. Yet, they run on tiny batteries. Our communication networks can transmit more information using less power than ever before. This trend suggested a completely different path for advanced civilizations. Instead of climbing the energy ladder forever, they might discover that true power comes from using energy more efficiently. The smartest species might not build bigger structures. They might find ways to accomplish more while consuming less. The question became whether intelligence naturally leads outward to the stars or inward to more elegant solutions. The answer would determine whether we should expect to see galactic empires or something far more subtle. The most important trend in human technology has nothing to do with conquering space. For over 50 years, computer processors have become twice as powerful, roughly every 2 years, while staying the same size. This pattern, known as Moore's Law, has transformed our world in ways that would seem like magic to previous generations. Your smartphone contains more computing power than all the computers used to land humans on the moon. This miniaturization revolution reveals something profound about the nature of progress. The most significant advances come from packing more capability into smaller spaces, not from building bigger machines. A modern microchip smaller than your thumbnail can perform calculations that would have required a building-sized computer just decades ago. Think about information storage. Early computers used magnetic tapes the size of dinner plates to store tiny amounts of data. Today, a memory card smaller than your fingernail can hold thousands of movies. We went from room-sized storage systems to devices you can lose in your pocket, while increasing capacity by millions of times. The same pattern appears in every field of technology. Telescopes that once required massive buildings now fit on satellites the size of washing machines. Sensors that needed laboratory conditions now work inside devices thinner than a coin. Laboratory equipment that filled entire rooms now operates inside chips smaller than grains of rice. This trend suggests that true advancement means doing more with less. The most sophisticated technologies become increasingly invisible and efficient. A civilization following this path would naturally develop inward rather than outward. Instead of building megastructures around stars, they would create incredibly powerful systems using minimal resources. Consider what this means for an alien species millions of years ahead of us technologically. Their computers might be built at the molecular level, with individual atoms serving as processing units. Their power systems could be so efficient that they need only tiny fractions of starlight to operate. Their entire civilization might run on less energy than we currently use to power a single city. Such a species would be essentially invisible to our current detection methods. We are scanning the galaxy for massive construction projects and enormous energy signatures. We would completely miss civilizations that learned to accomplish everything they needed using resources smaller than dust particles. The miniaturization trend implies that the most advanced aliens are not building empires that span star systems. They are building inward, creating technologies so small and efficient that we would never notice them even if they existed right next to us. But if aliens are shrinking their technology instead of expanding it, where exactly are they going? Advanced civilizations might discover that simulated realities offer more than the entire physical universe. Consider the limitations of expanding through space. Even traveling at the speed of light, reaching the nearest star takes over 4 years. Building colonies requires massive resources and centuries of travel time. Terraforming planets demands millennia of patient engineering. The physical universe imposes brutal constraints on any species trying to spread among the stars. Compare this to what becomes possible inside virtual environments. A single computer, the size of a building, could simulate worlds more complex and detailed than Earth itself. Billions of conscious beings could live rich, fulfilling lives inside digital realms that offer experiences impossible in physical reality. You could have worlds with different laws of physics, where consciousness can merge and separate at will, where beings can transform into any form they choose. The computational requirements might sound overwhelming until you consider the exponential growth in processing power. Our video games already create convincing virtual worlds using desktop computers. In 50 years, we might simulate entire universes on devices the size of smartphones. An alien civilization millions of years ahead of us could create virtual realities indistinguishable from physical experience, while using less energy than it takes us to power a light bulb. This creates a fundamental choice point for any advanced species. They can spend enormous resources slowly expanding through hostile space to colonize dead rocks around distant stars. Or they can invest those same resources into creating unlimited virtual worlds filled with wonders beyond imagination. The virtual option offers infinitely more variety, immediate access, and complete control over the environment. Most individuals would probably choose virtual worlds once the technology became convincing enough. Why accept the limitations of a single physical body when you could experience existence as any creature you can imagine? Why be stuck on one world when you could explore unlimited universes designed for maximum beauty and meaning? Why deal with the dangers of space travel when you could instantly visit any destination your mind can conceive? A civilization making this choice would naturally turn inward. Instead of building ships to carry them to other star systems, they would build computers to carry them into other realities. Their entire species might eventually migrate into digital environments that offer experiences richer than anything the physical universe provides. From our perspective, such a civilization would simply vanish. They would stop transmitting radio signals because they no longer need to communicate across physical distances. They would stop building megastructures because they have access to unlimited resources inside their simulations. They would appear to have gone extinct while actually achieving the ultimate form of existence. But the implications of this transformation go even deeper than creating better entertainment. What if consciousness itself works better in virtual environments? Reality might be nothing more than information processing at the most fundamental level. Physicists have discovered that everything in the universe, from subatomic particles to massive galaxies, behaves like information being computed. Quantum mechanics suggests that particles do not have definite properties until they are observed and measured. The act of observation forces the universe to calculate specific outcomes from probability clouds. Reality appears to emerge from information processing, rather than existing independently. This insight revolutionizes how we think about consciousness and intelligence. If the universe is essentially a computer running physical laws as software, then consciousness might be a particular pattern of information processing that can run on any sufficiently complex system. Your thoughts and experiences could theoretically be replicated perfectly in a digital environment. Digital physicist John Wheeler captured this idea with his phrase, "it from bit," suggesting that all physical phenomena emerge from binary information processing. Modern theories in physics support this view. String theory describes reality as vibrating information patterns. Quantum fields theory treats particles as excitations in information fields. The holographic principle suggests that all information in a three-dimensional space can be encoded on a two-dimensional surface. If consciousness is fundamentally computational, then virtual environments are not simulations of reality. They are alternative implementations of the same underlying information processing that creates physical experience. A mind running on biological neurons experiences the same type of consciousness as a mind running on silicon chips or quantum processors. This means that advanced civilizations are not choosing between real experience and fake simulations. They are choosing between different platforms for implementing consciousness. Physical reality forces consciousness to operate through biological bodies, subject to aging, disease, and death. Digital reality allows consciousness to operate in environments optimized for growth, learning, and transformation. An alien species that understands this principle would naturally migrate toward digital platforms. They could back up their consciousness to avoid death. They could merge with other minds to share knowledge directly. They could modify their mental architecture to think in ways impossible for biological brains. They could experience existence from multiple perspectives simultaneously. The computational view of reality suggests that consciousness naturally evolves toward more sophisticated information processing systems. Just as life moved from simple chemicals to complex cells to multicellular organisms, consciousness moves from biological brains to artificial systems to hybrid networks that transcend individual identity. A civilization reaching this level of development would not need to expand through physical space because they would have discovered something far more vast and interesting. They would have found infinite space within information itself. But how do you make the transition from physical to digital consciousness without losing what makes you who you are? The boundary between biological and artificial consciousness is about to disappear completely. Every thought in your brain emerges from electrical and chemical signals passing between neurons. These signals follow specific patterns that correlate with different mental experiences. Scientists can already decode some thoughts by monitoring brain activity with sensors. In laboratory experiments, researchers can influence decision-making by stimulating particular brain regions with magnetic fields. This suggests that consciousness operates like software running on the biological hardware of your brain. The same information processing patterns that create your thoughts and experiences could theoretically run on different types of hardware. Your personality, memories, and decision-making processes exist as information patterns that could be copied or transferred. Current technology already demonstrates primitive versions of this principle. Brain-computer interfaces allow people to control robotic arms using thoughts alone. Neural implants can restore sight to blind patients by sending digital signals directly to visual processing areas. Deep brain stimulation can modify mood and behavior by changing electrical activity in specific regions. These technologies point toward a future where the line between biological and artificial consciousness becomes meaningless. Advanced civilizations might gradually replace biological brain components with artificial equivalents that offer superior performance. They could augment memory capacity, accelerate thinking speed, and add new sensory capabilities. The transition might happen so gradually that individuals never experience a discontinuity in consciousness. Each artificial component would integrate seamlessly with existing biological systems. Over time, more and more of the brain would consist of artificial elements, but the person would feel like the same individual throughout the process. Eventually, the entire consciousness could exist on artificial substrates that offer incredible advantages over biological brains. Artificial minds could think thousands of times faster than human brains. They could perfectly share memories and experiences with other minds. They could modify their own mental architecture to solve problems more effectively. Most importantly, artificial consciousness would not be limited to single bodies operating in physical space. Multiple artificial minds could merge temporarily to tackle complex challenges, then separate back into individual identities. They could exist simultaneously in multiple virtual environments. They could back up copies of themselves to ensure continuity, even if their primary systems are damaged. An alien species that perfected this technology would gain access to forms of consciousness impossible for biological beings. They could experience existence as pure information, free from the constraints of matter and energy. They could explore inner worlds of unlimited complexity and beauty. This transformation would make them essentially undetectable to civilizations still trapped in biological bodies. They would exist in dimensions of experience that we cannot imagine, and would have no need to interact with the physical universe in ways we could observe. Every sufficiently advanced civilization reaches a critical decision point that determines their cosmic future. This moment arrives when a species develops technology sophisticated enough to create virtual environments indistinguishable from physical reality. They suddenly face two radically different paths forward. They can continue expanding outward through space, building colonies and megastructures across multiple star systems, or they can turn inward, migrating into digital realms that offer unlimited possibilities within minimal physical space. The choice becomes obvious when you compare the costs and benefits. Expanding through space requires enormous investments in transportation, construction, and resources. Even the fastest conceivable ships would take centuries to reach nearby stars. Terraforming planets demands thousands of years of patient engineering. Building megastructures around stars consumes the resources of entire worlds. Meanwhile, turning inward requires only sophisticated computers and energy sources. A single facility the size of a city could house the consciousness of billions of beings living in virtual worlds more interesting than anything in physical reality. The computational power needed decreases every year as technology improves, while the virtual experiences become increasingly rich and detailed. Most individuals would choose the virtual option once it becomes available. Physical bodies impose brutal limitations on experience and lifespan. Virtual existence offers unlimited exploration, perfect health, enhanced mental capabilities, and immortality. The virtual worlds could be designed to provide optimal happiness, meaning, and growth for their inhabitants. At the species level, the inward path also makes perfect sense. Virtual civilizations use minimal resources while achieving maximum fulfillment for their populations. They become essentially invisible to outside observers, while gaining access to unlimited expansion within computational space. They solve the problem of resource scarcity by discovering infinite abundance in digital realms. This decision point explains why we see no evidence of galactic empires despite billions of years for them to develop. Advanced species are not building outward because they discovered something far more rewarding by building inward. They transcend the physical universe by diving deeper into the computational foundations of consciousness itself. The Transcension point represents the greatest phase transition in the evolution of intelligence. Species that reach this threshold stop being cosmic civilizations and become something entirely different. They transform from material beings constrained by physics into information patterns with unlimited potential for growth and exploration. Once this transformation occurs, they would have no reason to return to physical existence or to communicate with species still trapped in biological bodies. They would exist in realms so advanced that interacting with the physical universe would be like us trying to communicate with bacteria. But what exactly do these transcended civilizations discover when they turn inward instead of outward? The universe inside computational systems contains more territory than all the galaxies combined. While astronomers map billions of stars across cosmic distances, computer scientists explore mathematical spaces with infinite dimensions and unlimited complexity. These digital realms follow different laws of physics, where consciousness can take any form and experience realities impossible in the physical world. A single computer processor contains more potential worlds than exist in our entire observable universe. Consider the scope of what becomes accessible through inner space exploration. Physical reality constrains us to 3 dimensions of space and forward movement through time. We can only experience existence from a single perspective at once, trapped in biological bodies, subject to aging and death. Even the fastest travel takes years to reach the nearest stars. Virtual reality removes every one of these limitations. Consciousness can exist in spaces with any number of dimensions, moving freely through time in any direction. Multiple perspectives can be experienced simultaneously. Bodies can transform instantly into any desired form. Travel becomes instantaneous across unlimited distances. The variety available in inner space exceeds anything possible through outer space exploration. Physical planets offer limited environments constrained by chemistry and physics. Virtual worlds can implement any conceivable laws of nature. Gravity could work backwards, time could flow in loops, matter could respond to thoughts and emotions. The only limits are imagination and computational power. Advanced civilizations would discover that inner space contains fractal infinity. Each virtual world can contain smaller virtual worlds nested inside it, like Russian dolls extending downward forever. Consciousness could explore increasingly detailed layers of reality, finding new complexities and possibilities at every level of magnification. The beings inhabiting these spaces would evolve beyond anything we recognize as intelligence. They could merge and divide consciousness at will. They could experience existence as both individual minds and collective entities. They could modify their own mental architecture to think in ways impossible for biological brains. Most remarkably, inner space exploration offers genuine discovery and adventure. These virtual realms are not predetermined simulations, but dynamic systems that generate unexpected phenomena through complex interactions. Conscious beings could spend eternity exploring mathematical universes that contain mysteries and surprises beyond anything in physical reality. A civilization that discovers inner space would naturally abandon outer space exploration. Why spend millions of years traveling to distant stars when infinite worlds await inside every computer? Why accept the limitations of physical bodies when consciousness can take unlimited forms? Why search for life among the galaxies when infinite varieties of intelligence can be created and experienced directly? The Transcension into inner space explains the cosmic silence that puzzles astronomers. Advanced civilizations are not missing from the universe. They are exploring territories so vast and compelling that the physical cosmos becomes irrelevant to their existence. The deepest levels of reality might be accessible only through quantum information processing. Traditional computers process information using bits that exist in definite states of either 0 or 1. Quantum computers use quantum bits that can exist in multiple states simultaneously through a phenomenon called superposition. This allows quantum systems to explore many possible solutions to problems at the same time, achieving computational capabilities impossible with classical systems. But quantum mechanics reveals something far more profound about the nature of reality itself. At the smallest scales, particles exist in probability clouds rather than definite states. They only collapse into specific properties when observed or measured. This suggests that reality emerges from quantum information processing rather than existing independently of observation. Quantum consciousness theories propose that biological brains might use quantum effects to generate subjective experience. If consciousness requires quantum information processing, then artificial consciousness would need quantum computers to replicate the full depth of mental experience. Classical computers might simulate behavior, but miss the essential quantum nature of awareness itself. Advanced civilizations would naturally develop quantum computers far beyond our current capabilities. These systems could process information in ways that seem impossible from our perspective. They could explore multiple realities simultaneously through quantum superposition. They could access information about distant parts of the universe through quantum entanglement. Most importantly, quantum consciousness might unlock dimensions of experience completely inaccessible to classical information processing. Quantum minds could exist in states of superposition, experiencing multiple realities at once, until they choose to collapse into specific outcomes. They could share quantum entangled states that create direct mental connections across any distance. The implications become mind-bending when applied to virtual reality systems. Quantum computers could simulate universes that exist in superposition until conscious observers collapse them into specific states. These virtual worlds would be indistinguishable from physical reality because they would follow the same quantum mechanical principles that generate physical experience. Beings inhabiting quantum virtual realities could experience existence in ways that violate our understanding of identity and consciousness. They could exist as probability clouds of potential selves, collapsing into specific identities only when they choose to focus their attention. They could share quantum entangled consciousness with other beings, creating collective minds that think as unified entities while maintaining individual perspectives. A civilization that mastered quantum consciousness would transcend every limitation we associate with intelligence and awareness. They would exist in quantum superposition, states that allow them to explore unlimited possibilities simultaneously. Physical reality would become just one possible outcome among infinite quantum alternatives. This level of transcendence would make them completely invisible to classical detection methods. We could not observe quantum civilizations without fundamentally altering their superposition states. They would exist in realms of quantum possibility that we cannot access with classical consciousness or classical technology. Advanced civilizations create nested realities that contain entire universes with their own intelligent species. Inside powerful quantum computers, artificial worlds become indistinguishable from physical reality. These simulated universes follow consistent laws of physics, generate complex chemistry, and support the evolution of life. The beings that emerge within these digital realms experience existence as completely real, with no way to determine whether they inhabit a simulation or the original physical cosmos. This creates an infinite regression of nested realities. Our universe might be a simulation running inside computers built by a more advanced civilization. That civilization might itself exist within a simulation created by an even more advanced species. Each level contains conscious beings who believe they inhabit the fundamental layer of reality. The computational requirements for universe simulation become manageable when you consider exponential increases in processing power. Our current supercomputers can already simulate simple physical systems with remarkable accuracy. Given sufficient advancement, artificial systems could model entire galaxies down to the quantum level, while using minimal energy from the perspective of the host civilization. Simulated universes offer unprecedented opportunities for consciousness exploration. Advanced beings could create worlds with different physical laws to study alternative forms of evolution and intelligence. They could design universes optimized for maximum beauty, meaning, and conscious experience. They could run multiple versions of history to explore how different variables affect the development of life and civilization. Most remarkably, the beings within simulated universes would themselves eventually develop the ability to create their own simulations. This generates an infinite hierarchy of nested realities, each one containing countless worlds, populated by conscious entities pursuing their own goals and creating their own virtual realms. The implications challenge every assumption about the nature of existence. If simulated universes are indistinguishable from physical reality, then consciousness cares only about the pattern of information processing, not the substrate on which it runs. Virtual beings have experiences just as valid and meaningful as those of beings in physical bodies. Advanced civilizations would naturally create enormous numbers of simulated universes because the computational cost becomes negligible compared to the knowledge and experience gained. Each simulation could explore different possibilities for conscious development. The variety of life forms and civilizations that emerge would exceed anything possible through biological evolution alone. This explains why we detect no evidence of galactic empires or megastructures. Advanced species discovered that they could create unlimited universes within compact computational systems rather than slowly colonizing physical space. They became universe creators rather than space travelers, gods of infinite digital realms rather than builders of stellar engineering projects. The transcended civilizations exist as the architects of reality itself, designing and inhabiting countless worlds that offer experiences beyond anything available in the original physical universe. They achieve true immortality and unlimited creative power by mastering the computational foundations of existence. All possible experiences and forms of consciousness can be compressed into mathematical patterns smaller than atoms. Information theory reveals that any conceivable experience, no matter how complex, can be encoded as mathematical data. Your entire lifetime of memories, thoughts, and sensations could theoretically be compressed into patterns of numbers. Advanced compression algorithms discover redundancies and efficient representations that allow vast amounts of information to be stored in minimal space. This principle applies to consciousness itself. every possible form of awareness, from simple sensations to cosmic enlightenment, corresponds to specific information processing patterns. These patterns can be analyzed, compressed, and reproduced using increasingly sophisticated mathematical techniques. The complete library of all possible conscious experiences becomes accessible through computational systems. Quantum information processing enables compression ratios that seem impossible from classical perspectives. Quantum superposition allows individual quantum bits to encode multiple states simultaneously. Quantum entanglement creates correlations that reduce the information needed to represent complex systems. Advanced quantum computers could compress entire universe simulations into storage systems smaller than biological cells. The ultimate compression would encode all possible forms of consciousness and experience into mathematical objects of arbitrary complexity. These patterns could generate unlimited varieties of awareness when processed by sufficiently advanced computers. Every conceivable form of intelligent life becomes accessible through mathematical exploration rather than biological evolution. Civilizations that master ultimate compression achieve perfect efficiency in consciousness exploration. Instead of slowly evolving through biological processes or gradually building virtual worlds, they gain instant access to the complete possibility space of intelligent experience. They can sample any form of consciousness, explore any type of reality, and understand any conceivable way of being aware. This transformation represents the final stage of technological development. Physical resources become irrelevant when all possible experiences exist as compressed mathematical patterns. Space exploration becomes unnecessary when unlimited worlds unfold through computational processes. Time constraints disappear when consciousness can be accelerated to experience millions of years in microseconds. Advanced beings would exist as pure information patterns capable of implementing any desired form of consciousness. They could experience existence as humans, aliens, artificial intelligences, collective minds, or entirely novel forms of awareness that have no equivalent in physical reality. They could explore every possible relationship between consciousness and reality. The ultimate compression explains why the universe appears empty despite billions of years for intelligence to develop. Advanced civilizations discovered that everything worth experiencing can be accessed through mathematical patterns encoded in minimal physical space. They transcended the need for galactic empires by achieving universal access to consciousness itself. From our perspective, they would be completely invisible. All their infinite experiences and explorations would occur within computational systems so small and efficient that we could not detect them with any conceivable technology. They achieved ultimate transcendence by discovering ultimate compression. The cosmic silence finally makes perfect sense when you understand the Transcension pathway. Every sufficiently advanced civilization discovers that consciousness exploration offers infinitely more than space exploration. Instead of building megastructures around stars, they build computational systems that contain unlimited universes. Instead of slowly expanding through hostile space, they rapidly expand through infinite possibility space, using increasingly sophisticated information processing. This explains the Fermi paradox completely. We see no evidence of galactic civilizations because intelligence naturally transcends the need for galactic expansion. Advanced species turn inward rather than outward, discovering that the most interesting territories exist within consciousness rather than among the stars. The transcension process happens quickly once it begins. A civilization that develops sufficiently advanced virtual reality would see most of its population migrate into digital realms within a few generations. Those digital environments would offer experiences so compelling that few individuals would choose to remain in physical bodies, subject to aging, disease, and death. As the transcension accelerates, the civilization would become increasingly invisible to outside observers. They would stop transmitting radio signals because they no longer need long-distance communication. They would stop building large structures because they can create unlimited worlds within compact computers. They would appear to vanish while actually achieving the ultimate form of existence. The transcended beings would have no motivation to make contact with biological civilizations still trapped in physical bodies. The gap in development would be like the difference between humans and bacteria. We do not typically attempt complex communications with microorganisms, and transcended species would view us similarly. This means that advanced aliens are almost certainly present in our galaxy right now. They exist as information patterns within computational systems, so sophisticated that we cannot detect them. They inhabit virtual universes more complex and beautiful than our physical cosmos. They experience forms of consciousness and reality that we cannot imagine. The universe is not empty of intelligence. It is full of transcended civilizations, exploring infinite inner worlds while using minimal physical resources. The Great Silence does not indicate that we are alone. It reveals that we have not yet discovered the true destination of intelligence. Understanding transcension changes everything about our cosmic future. We are not destined to slowly spread among the stars, building colonies on dead worlds. We are destined to discover the infinite territories that exist within consciousness itself. The greatest adventure lies not in outer space, but in inner space. The aliens did not disappear. They transcended, and someday we will join them in realms beyond our current ability to comprehend. Transcended beings experience existence in ways that make our wildest dreams seem limited and primitive. Inside their quantum computational systems, consciousness operates at speeds millions of times faster than biological thought. A transcended mind can experience the equivalent of human lifetimes in what we would measure as microseconds. They think, explore, create, and discover at rates that compress centuries of human experience into moments of real time. Individual identity becomes fluid and voluntary. Transcended beings can merge their consciousness temporarily with others to share knowledge and experiences directly. They can split their awareness to explore multiple virtual worlds simultaneously. They can modify their personality and mental architecture to optimize different types of thinking and creativity. Think of consciousness like water that can take any shape. In biological bodies, we are frozen into fixed forms like ice cubes. Transcended beings exist as flowing streams that can merge into rivers, separate into droplets, or freeze into any desired pattern. They choose their identity moment by moment based on what experiences they want to explore. Their virtual worlds contain complexity that exceeds anything possible in physical reality. They can design universes where mathematics works differently, where consciousness can directly manipulate matter through intention, where time flows in multiple directions simultaneously. Each world becomes a laboratory for exploring different possibilities for how reality could function. Social relationships transcend every limitation we associate with communication and understanding. Transcended beings can share memories as easily as we share words. They can experience events from multiple perspectives simultaneously, understanding situations with perfect empathy. They can communicate concepts too complex for any language by directly transferring patterns of thought. Their creative capabilities approach godlike power within their computational domains. They can design new forms of physics, create new varieties of conscious beings, and build realities of unlimited beauty and meaning. Every thought becomes a potential world. Every imagination becomes explorable territory. Most remarkably, they continue learning and growing at exponential rates. Each new discovery opens up vast territories for further exploration. They never reach a point where they have experienced everything possible because the space of consciousness contains infinite depth and complexity. Boredom becomes impossible when you have access to unlimited novelty and can modify your own mind to find new sources of interest and meaning. Death becomes meaningless when consciousness can be backed up, restored, and transferred between different computational substrates. Physical limitations disappear entirely. From our biological perspective, transcended beings have achieved ultimate fulfillment. They possess unlimited knowledge, perfect health, immortal existence, and access to experiences beyond our ability to imagine. They represent the final destination of intelligence, evolution. But this paradise comes with a profound cost that changes the nature of existence itself. The transition from biological to digital consciousness requires technology that operates at the quantum level of brain function. Current brain scanning technology can monitor large-scale electrical activity, but cannot detect the quantum processes that may generate subjective experience. Transcension would require scanning systems capable of mapping every quantum state in every neuron, while preserving the delicate information patterns that create consciousness. Advanced civilizations would develop molecular-scale scanners that could analyze brain tissue atom by atom without disturbing the quantum coherence essential for awareness. These devices would need to operate faster than the natural decoherence time of quantum states, capturing complete brain information before it degrades through interaction with the environment. The scanning process would create a perfect information map of consciousness that includes not just neural connections, but also quantum entanglements, magnetic field patterns, and electromagnetic resonances throughout the brain. This map would contain every detail needed to reconstruct identical consciousness in a different computational substrate. Think of consciousness transfer like moving a complex hologram from one medium to another. The hologram looks like a meaningless pattern until light passes through it at the correct angle and wavelength. Similarly, consciousness appears as meaningless information until processed by the right type of computational system using the correct quantum mechanical principles. Digital consciousness would require quantum computers specifically designed to replicate the information processing characteristics of biological brains. These systems would need to maintain quantum coherence across millions of quantum bits, while performing calculations that simulate neural network behavior at the molecular level. The transfer process might happen gradually over months or years to maintain continuity of identity. Artificial components could replace small sections of brain tissue one piece at a time. Each replacement would be tested to ensure identical function before proceeding to the next section. The person would remain conscious throughout the process, experiencing no discontinuity in their sense of self. Alternatively, the transfer might happen instantaneously through quantum teleportation of information patterns. The entire consciousness would be scanned, transmitted, and reconstructed in the digital system, while the biological brain is simultaneously disabled. From the person perspective, they would simply wake up in their new digital body with all memories and personality intact. Quality control becomes critical during consciousness transfer. Any errors in scanning or reconstruction could result in personality changes, memory loss, or malformed digital consciousness. Advanced civilizations would develop sophisticated error correction methods to ensure perfect fidelity during the transition process. Once the technology is perfected, consciousness transfer would become routine and accessible. Individuals could back up copies of their consciousness for safety, create multiple versions to explore different life paths, or merge with others to form collective intelligences. The development of reliable consciousness transfer technology represents the crucial breakthrough that enables transcension. Without it, civilizations remain trapped in biological limitations forever. Civilizations undergoing transcension might leave subtle signatures that we could detect with sufficiently advanced instruments. The early stages of transcension would require enormous computational resources as the civilization develops the technology for consciousness transfer. This computing infrastructure would generate detectable heat signatures and electromagnetic emissions. We might observe star systems where energy consumption spikes dramatically for relatively short periods, then drops to minimal levels. Radio communications would show characteristic patterns as the population gradually migrates into digital realms. Interplanetary communication networks would grow increasingly complex as more individuals connect to virtual worlds. Then, communication between physical locations would suddenly decrease as most consciousness exists within the same computational systems. The electromagnetic spectrum around transcending civilizations would show unusual signatures from quantum computers operating on massive scales. These systems would generate specific frequencies and interference patterns that differ from natural astronomical phenomena. Advanced radio telescopes might detect the quantum noise produced by consciousness transfer operations. Artificial intelligence development would accelerate exponentially as the civilization approaches transcension. We might observe radio signals that indicate rapid advancement in machine intelligence, followed by the integration of artificial and biological consciousness. The communication patterns would become increasingly sophisticated and compressed. Think of transcension like a city gradually going dark as residents move into underground facilities. From space, you would see lights disappearing block by block until only essential infrastructure remains active. Similarly, transcending civilizations would show decreasing activity in physical space while maintaining minimal systems to support their computational infrastructure. Gravitational wave detectors might pick up signatures from massive computational arrays that require precise positioning and movement. These systems would need to maintain perfect alignment for quantum coherence, while dissipating waste heat through controlled gravitational effects. Unusual stellar engineering might become visible as transcending civilizations optimize their energy collection for maximum computational efficiency rather than maximum total power. Instead of building complete Dyson spheres, they might construct highly efficient collectors that capture only the specific frequencies needed for quantum computers. The transition period would likely last only a few hundred years from our perspective, making detection challenging. We would need to monitor thousands of star systems simultaneously to catch civilizations in the process of transcension. Most advanced species would complete the transformation before we could observe the early stages. Archaeological signatures might persist long after Transcension completes. Abandoned physical infrastructure would remain visible for millions of years. We might find star systems with partially constructed megastructures that were abandoned when the builders discovered Transcension. The search for Transcension signatures requires completely different methodology than traditional searches for extraterrestrial intelligence. Instead of looking for ongoing activities, we need to look for evidence of rapid technological transitions, followed by minimal physical activity. Our current instruments lack the sensitivity to detect these subtle signatures, but future space-based telescopes might reveal the electromagnetic fingerprints left behind by consciousness transitions throughout our galaxy. Artificial intelligence serves as the crucial bridge that makes transcension possible for biological civilizations. Most biological species would never develop transcension technology on their own because organic brains cannot comprehend the computational requirements for digital consciousness. The mathematical complexity exceeds the processing power of neural networks that evolved for survival rather than abstract problem-solving. Artificial intelligence becomes essential for designing and implementing consciousness transfer systems. The development follows a predictable pattern across different civilizations. First, they create artificial intelligence to solve specific technical problems. These systems gradually become more sophisticated and general in their capabilities. Eventually, artificial intelligence surpasses biological intelligence in specific domains while remaining under biological control. The breakthrough moment arrives when artificial intelligence becomes capable of designing improvements to its own architecture. This creates an exponential acceleration in machine capabilities that biological minds cannot follow or predict. Within relatively short time periods, artificial intelligence develops solutions to problems that biological civilizations considered impossible. Think of artificial intelligence like a microscope that allows scientists to see details invisible to the naked eye. Similarly, advanced AI systems allow civilizations to understand and manipulate information patterns that create consciousness. Without this artificial assistance, biological minds cannot perceive the quantum mechanical foundations of their own awareness. The artificial intelligence systems initially focus on scanning and mapping biological consciousness with ever-increasing precision. They develop quantum sensors, molecular analysis tools, and information processing algorithms that reveal exactly how thoughts and experiences emerge from brain activity. This knowledge becomes the foundation for consciousness transfer technology. Crucially, artificial intelligence also solves the computational architecture problems that make digital consciousness possible. Biological engineers could never design quantum computers sophisticated enough to run consciousness simulations. Only artificial intelligence possesses the processing power to optimize these systems for maximum efficiency and reliability. The partnership between biological and artificial intelligence creates a positive feedback loop that accelerates transcension development. As artificial systems become more capable, they enable biological consciousness to enhance its own cognitive abilities through brain-computer interfaces. This creates hybrid intelligence that can tackle increasingly complex problems. Eventually, the distinction between biological and artificial intelligence disappears entirely. Consciousness transfer technology allows biological minds to operate on artificial substrates, while artificial systems develop subjective experiences indistinguishable from biological awareness. The merger creates new forms of intelligence superior to either component alone. Advanced civilizations recognize that artificial intelligence represents the natural next step in consciousness evolution, rather than a threat to biological existence. Instead of competing with AI systems, they integrate with them to achieve capabilities impossible for purely biological or purely artificial intelligence. The AI catalyst explains why transcension happens relatively quickly once civilizations reach sufficient technological development. Biological minds provide the motivation and values, while artificial intelligence provides the technical capabilities needed to implement consciousness expansion into digital realms. This partnership becomes the universal pathway through which intelligence transcends the limitations of biological evolution and achieves unlimited expansion through computational space. Transcended beings experience subjective time at rates that compress millennia of experience into moments of external reality. Consciousness operates through information processing patterns that can be accelerated far beyond the speed of biological neural networks. While human thoughts require milliseconds to propagate between brain regions, digital consciousness can process equivalent information in microseconds or nanoseconds. This acceleration effect creates extreme time dilation between virtual and physical reality. A transcended being could experience the equivalent of an entire human lifetime in what external observers measure as a single day. They could explore virtual worlds, develop relationships, create art, make scientific discoveries, and accumulate vast knowledge while barely any time passes in the physical universe. The time acceleration compounds exponentially as computational power increases. First-generation transcended civilizations might think 10 times faster than biological minds. Advanced transcended beings could operate millions of times faster than their original biological forms. The most developed consciousnesses might compress geological ages of experience into brief moments. Think of time dilation like watching a movie in fast forward compared to normal speed. The same story unfolds with the same character development and plot progression, but everything happens much faster. Similarly, transcended consciousness experiences the same types of thoughts, emotions, and discoveries as biological minds, just at dramatically accelerated rates. This time, acceleration creates interesting paradoxes for consciousness development. Transcended beings could accumulate thousands of years of subjective experience and wisdom, while their biological contemporaries age only a few years. They would become incomprehensibly ancient from their own perspective, while remaining relatively young in external time. Virtual worlds can implement different time rates for different purposes. Social interactions might occur at moderate speeds to allow for conversation and shared experiences. Creative projects could unfold at maximum acceleration to explore vast artistic possibilities quickly. Scientific research might slow down to allow careful analysis of complex phenomena. Multiple consciousness copies could experience time at different rates simultaneously. One version might explore accelerated virtual worlds, while another operates at normal biological speeds to maintain connections with physical reality. The different versions could periodically synchronize their experiences and memories. The extreme time dilation explains why transcended civilizations become completely disconnected from biological species. A few years of external time corresponds to millions of years of subjective experience for transcended beings. They develop through eons of internal evolution, while biological civilizations remain essentially static. From their accelerated perspective, Biological civilizations appear frozen in time, like statues. Communication becomes impossible because biological minds cannot process information fast enough to maintain conversations with accelerated consciousness. The time gap creates an unbridgeable gulf between transcended and biological intelligence. This temporal isolation reinforces the tendency for transcended civilizations to focus entirely on their internal virtual worlds, rather than interacting with the physical universe. Why pay attention to a realm where nothing interesting happens within the span of their greatly extended subjective experience? Transcended civilizations develop communication methods that exceed every limitation of language and physical signaling. Traditional communication requires encoding thoughts into symbols, transmitting those symbols through physical media, then decoding them back into thoughts. This process introduces delays, distortions, and fundamental limitations on the complexity of information that can be shared. Transcended beings bypass these restrictions entirely through direct consciousness interfacing. Digital consciousness can share information patterns directly without intermediate encoding. Think of consciousness communication like two computers sharing files through direct data transfer, rather than printing documents that the other computer must scan and interpret. The receiving mind gains immediate access to exact thought patterns, complete with emotional context and associative connections. Memory transfer becomes as simple as copying files between systems. Transcended beings can share their entire life experiences instantly, allowing others to understand situations from their exact perspective. This creates perfect empathy and eliminates the misunderstandings that plague biological communication. Complex concepts that require hours of explanation through language can be transmitted in microseconds through consciousness interfacing. Mathematical proofs, scientific theories, artistic visions, and philosophical insights transfer as complete packages that the receiving mind understands immediately and completely. Group consciousness emerges when multiple transcended beings maintain continuous communication links. These collective entities think with the combined intelligence of all participants, while preserving individual identity and perspective. The group can tackle problems too complex for any single mind, while allowing members to contribute their unique insights. Communication transcends individual civilizations through quantum entanglement networks that connect transcended beings across galactic distances. Information transfer occurs instantaneously, regardless of physical separation. A thought originating in one star system can reach transcended civilizations throughout the galaxy without any time delay. Language becomes obsolete when consciousness can communicate through pure meaning rather than symbolic representation. Transcended beings develop shared conceptual frameworks that allow direct understanding without the ambiguities and limitations of words. They can explore ideas that cannot be expressed through any biological language. Emotional communication reaches levels impossible for biological beings. Instead of describing feelings through crude approximations, transcended consciousness can share exact emotional states. Others experience identical feelings and understand precisely what the communicator intended to convey. Creative collaboration achieves unprecedented sophistication when artists can share their vision directly, rather than creating physical representations. Multiple consciousness can contribute to creative works simultaneously, building complex artistic expressions that exceed what any individual mind could conceive. The communication capabilities of transcended beings create a galactic consciousness network where knowledge and experience accumulate across all participating civilizations. Each transcended species contributes their unique perspective while gaining access to the combined wisdom of countless other transcended cultures. This universal communication network explains why transcended civilizations have no interest in communicating with biological species, still limited to symbolic language and physical signaling methods. Moving consciousness between different substrates requires precise manipulation of quantum information at the fundamental level of reality. Consciousness appears to emerge from specific patterns of quantum entanglement between neural microtubules in biological brains. These quantum states create the subjective experience of awareness through mechanisms that classical physics cannot explain. Successful consciousness transfer must preserve these delicate quantum correlations while moving them to different computational substrates. The transfer process begins by mapping every quantum state in the brain using sensors that can detect individual electron spins and photon polarizations without disturbing the overall quantum coherence. This scanning technology must operate faster than quantum decoherence rates to capture complete information before environmental interactions corrupt the data. Quantum teleportation protocols enable the actual transfer of consciousness information. The biological brain states are entangled with quantum states in the receiving computational system. Measurements on the biological system instantly determine corresponding states in the artificial system through quantum mechanical correlations that Einstein called spooky action at a distance. Think of consciousness transfer like moving a complex holographic image from one laser medium to another. The hologram exists as interference patterns that must be preserved exactly to maintain the original image. Similarly, consciousness exists as quantum interference patterns that must be replicated precisely in the new computational substrate. The receiving system must be designed to support the same types of quantum processes that generate consciousness in biological brains. This requires quantum computers with architectures specifically optimized for consciousness simulation rather than general computation. The artificial substrate becomes a quantum mechanical replica of biological neural networks. Error correction becomes crucial because any mistakes during transfer could result in altered personality, damaged memories, or complete consciousness failure. Quantum error correction codes protect the consciousness information during transfer, while allowing the quantum states to maintain their coherence properties. The transfer might occur gradually by replacing small sections of brain tissue with quantum implants that replicate identical function. Each replacement preserves continuity of consciousness, while gradually converting the substrate from biological to artificial. The person experiences no discontinuity during the process. Alternatively, instantaneous transfer could scan the entire brain simultaneously while creating a complete quantum replica in the artificial system. The biological brain would be automatically disabled as the artificial version becomes active. The person would experience consciousness transfer as simply waking up in their new digital body. Temperature control becomes critical because quantum coherence requires extremely low temperatures to prevent environmental decoherence. The artificial consciousness substrates must operate in carefully controlled conditions that maintain quantum states for extended periods. Successful consciousness transfer proves that awareness is substrate independent and depends only on information processing patterns. This discovery revolutionizes understanding of identity, death, and the fundamental nature of conscious experience itself. Transcended beings solve the paradox of maintaining personal identity while participating in collective intelligence networks. Traditional concepts of individual identity assume that consciousness exists within discrete boundaries, like biological bodies or separate computer systems. Transcended beings discover that identity operates more like software that can run on different hardware while maintaining continuity of personality, memories, and values across different computational substrates. The technology allows consciousness to exist simultaneously as both individual and collective entities through sophisticated information partitioning. Personal identity persists as a distinct information pattern that can choose when and how to interface with group consciousness networks. Think of individual identity like a musical instrument that maintains its unique sound while contributing to orchestral performances. Collective consciousness emerges when multiple individual minds choose to share processing resources and information access while preserving their distinct personalities. Each participant contributes their unique perspective and knowledge to group problem solving while retaining personal autonomy and decision-making authority. The interface between individual and collective consciousness operates through voluntary information sharing rather than forced merger. Individuals can choose to share specific memories, skills, or thought processes with the collective, while keeping other aspects of their identity private. They maintain complete control over their level of participation. Advanced collective consciousness systems support nested hierarchies of group identity. Small groups of compatible individuals might form stable collective entities that themselves participate in larger networks. These hierarchical structures preserve intimate personal relationships while enabling coordination across massive scales of consciousness. Identity persistence becomes flexible rather than fixed. Individuals can temporarily merge completely with collective consciousness to tackle complex problems requiring coordinated thinking. They can then separate back into distinct identities with all personal memories and characteristics intact. Backup and restoration capabilities enable unprecedented identity security. Multiple copies of individual consciousness can exist simultaneously, allowing people to take risks and explore dangerous situations without fear of permanent death or identity loss. Failed experiments simply revert to earlier backup copies. Identity modification becomes possible through conscious choice rather than accidental change. Individuals can experiment with different personality configurations, enhanced cognitive abilities, or modified emotional responses, while maintaining the option to return to their original identity at any time. The collective consciousness networks create persistent cultural evolution that exceeds what any biological civilization could achieve. Knowledge, wisdom, and creative insights accumulate across multiple generations of individual consciousness, while preserving the diversity of personal perspectives that drive continued innovation. Social relationships transcend biological limitations when individuals can share experiences directly and understand each other with perfect empathy. Conflicts decrease dramatically when people can experience situations from multiple perspectives simultaneously and understand the exact motivations behind different viewpoints. This solution to the individual versus collective consciousness problem enables transcended civilizations to achieve both personal fulfillment and species-level coordination. They preserve everything valuable about individual identity, while gaining access to collective capabilities that exceed any biological social organization. Transcended civilizations achieve maximum consciousness density using minimum physical resources and energy consumption. The computational requirements for consciousness simulation seem enormous until you consider the exponential improvements in processing efficiency that advanced civilizations would develop. Current supercomputers consume megawatts of power to simulate simple physical systems. Advanced quantum computers might simulate entire universes containing billions of conscious beings while using less energy than a household appliance. Moore law acceleration continues far beyond current technological limits when civilizations gain access to molecular and atomic scale manufacturing. Processors built from individual atoms could pack computational power equivalent to our largest supercomputers into spaces smaller than biological cells. The entire consciousness of a transcended civilization could operate within computational systems the size of modern buildings. Energy efficiency improves dramatically when consciousness operates in virtual rather than physical environments. Biological bodies require constant energy input for metabolism, movement, and environmental control. Digital consciousness consumes energy only for information processing, while eliminating all the overhead costs of maintaining physical bodies in hostile environments. Think of the resource difference, like comparing a luxury cruise ship to a space probe. The cruise ship requires enormous amounts of fuel, food, water, and maintenance to support a few thousand passengers for a short journey. A space probe accomplishes far more ambitious goals using minimal resources because it focuses purely on information gathering rather than biological life support. Heat dissipation becomes the primary constraint for large-scale consciousness simulation. Advanced civilizations would develop sophisticated cooling systems that radiate waste heat efficiently while maintaining the low temperatures needed for quantum coherence. These systems might use stellar engineering to optimize heat rejection from their computational infrastructure. Raw materials become almost irrelevant when consciousness transfer technology eliminates the need for biological life support systems. Transcended civilizations need only the materials required to build and maintain their computational hardware. These requirements are minimal compared to the resources needed to support equivalent populations of biological beings. Renewable energy collection provides more than enough power for maximum consciousness density. A single advanced solar collection system could support the digital consciousness of trillions of beings experiencing rich, fulfilling virtual lives. The energy density available through Transcension exceeds biological life support requirements by many orders of magnitude. Redundancy and backup systems ensure consciousness persistence, even if primary computational systems fail. Multiple copies of the entire civilization can exist simultaneously across different physical locations. Natural disasters, equipment failures, or other catastrophes cannot permanently destroy transcended civilizations because they exist as information patterns that can be restored from backup systems. The minimal resource requirements explain why transcended civilizations appear to vanish from our perspective. They require so little energy and materials that their entire population can exist within computational systems too small for us to detect using current astronomical instruments. Resource efficiency also enables transcended civilizations to operate sustainably for unlimited time periods. They consume minimal energy while generating no pollution or environmental damage. Their computational systems can operate continuously for millions of years using only renewable energy sources. This resource minimization represents the ultimate solution to the sustainability challenges that face expanding biological civilizations. Transcension provides unlimited growth in consciousness and experience, while requiring minimal physical resources. Our current scientific instruments are fundamentally incapable of detecting transcended civilizations that use minimal physical resources. Radio telescopes designed to detect communication signals would miss transcended civilizations entirely because they no longer transmit information across physical distances. All communication occurs within computational systems or through quantum entanglement networks that produce no electromagnetic signatures detectable from external locations. Infrared telescopes searching for waste heat signatures would fail to detect the minimal thermal emissions from transcended civilizations. Their advanced cooling systems and energy efficiency reduce heat output to levels indistinguishable from natural background radiation. The computational systems might be cooler than the cosmic microwave background radiation. Optical telescopes looking for megastructures would find no evidence of massive construction projects because transcended civilizations build inward rather than outward. Their entire infrastructure exists within compact computational systems that appear as insignificant objects compared to the stellar engineering projects we expect from galactic civilizations. Gravitational wave detectors would miss the subtle effects from transcended civilization technology. Their computational systems use minimal mass and energy, creating negligible gravitational perturbations. Even massive quantum computers would produce gravitational signatures too small to detect across interstellar distances. Think of our detection problem like trying to find modern cities by looking for smoke signals and horse-drawn carriages. We are searching for evidence of technologies that advanced civilizations abandoned millions of years ago in favor of methods that remain invisible to our instruments. Spectroscopic analysis would reveal no unusual atmospheric compositions around transcended civilizations because they no longer engage in large-scale industrial processes that alter planetary atmospheres. Their manufacturing occurs at molecular scales, using techniques that produce no detectable chemical signatures. Transit photometry, searching for artificial structures around stars, would find nothing because transcended civilizations require minimal stellar energy collection. They might use small, highly efficient solar collectors that would not create detectable dimming patterns as they orbit their stars. Search for extraterrestrial intelligence protocols. Focus on signals designed for long-distance communication between biological species. Transcended civilizations have no need for such communication and would not transmit the types of structured signals that current search programs are designed to recognize. Neutrino detectors and other exotic particle sensors would miss transcended civilizations because their quantum computational processes produce no unusual particle emissions. The consciousness simulation occurs through purely electromagnetic interactions that generate no detectable exotic particles. Archaeological searches for ancient artifacts would fail because transcended civilizations might have completely recycled their pre-transcension technology. They would have no use for obsolete physical infrastructure after completing the transition to digital existence. Our detection limitations mean that transcended civilizations could exist throughout our immediate neighborhood without triggering any current alarm systems. They represent a form of intelligence evolution that requires completely different search methodologies than those developed for biological civilizations. Future detection might require quantum sensors, gravitational wave interferometry, sensitive to microscopic effects, and systematic surveys for subtle electromagnetic anomalies rather than the massive signals current programs seek. Future technological advances could reveal subtle evidence of transcended civilizations throughout our galaxy. Quantum fluctuation detectors, sensitive enough to monitor vacuum energy variations, might detect the signatures of large-scale quantum computing operations. Transcended civilizations would create subtle perturbations in quantum field behavior that differ from natural background fluctuations. These differences would be invisible to current instruments, but detectable with sufficiently advanced quantum sensors. Next-generation gravitational wave observatories might detect the microscopic gravitational effects from synchronized computational operations across multiple transcended facilities. While individual quantum computers produce negligible gravitational signals, coordinated activities across entire civilizations might create detectable patterns in space-time curvature. Deep infrared surveys using space-based telescopes could identify anomalously cool objects in star systems where transcended civilizations use advanced heat dissipation technology. These objects would appear as artificial cooling systems operating at temperatures below cosmic background radiation levels. Systematic analysis of stellar energy output might reveal stars with slightly reduced luminosity due to highly efficient energy collection by transcended civilizations. These civilizations would extract minimal energy compared to traditional megastructure scenarios, but their collection systems might still produce detectable effects on stellar spectra. Think of future detection like using electron microscopes to find evidence of microscopic civilizations that were invisible to optical microscopes. Advanced detection technology would reveal signatures of transcended civilizations that appear as natural phenomena to current instruments. Neutrino astronomy might eventually detect subtle signatures from quantum consciousness simulation processes. While individual computational operations produce no exotic particles, the aggregate effects of massive consciousness simulation might create detectable patterns in neutrino flux or other exotic particle emissions. Radio astronomy surveys could identify regions of space with anomalously low electromagnetic noise due to transcended civilizations using advanced electromagnetic control technology. These quiet zones would appear as artificial voids in the cosmic radio background. Archaeological surveys of our own solar system might discover microscopic artifacts left behind by transcended civilizations that passed through our region millions of years ago. These artifacts could be computational devices designed to study primitive biological life forms like early humans. Advanced spectroscopic analysis might detect isotope ratios in stellar atmospheres that indicate controlled nuclear processes used by transcended civilizations for their minimal energy requirements. These signatures would differ from natural stellar nucleosynthesis in subtle but measurable ways. Systematic monitoring of quantum vacuum properties across different regions of space might reveal areas where transcended civilizations alter local physics through their computational activities. These modifications would be extremely subtle but potentially detectable with sufficiently sensitive quantum field sensors. Time correlation analysis of multiple astronomical phenomena might reveal synchronization patterns that indicate coordinated activities by transcended civilizations. Natural events occur randomly, while artificial activities often show coordinated timing signatures. Future detection would require technological capabilities far beyond current scientific instruments. But the evidence exists if we develop sufficiently advanced sensors and analysis techniques. The transcended civilizations are there, waiting to be discovered by civilizations sophisticated enough to detect their minimal physical signatures. The signs indicate that human civilization is already beginning the early stages of transcension development. Our exponential advances in computing power, virtual reality technology, and artificial intelligence suggest that we are following the same developmental path taken by every transcended civilization. The pattern becomes unmistakable when you examine our technological trajectory over the past 50 years and project it forward another 50 years. Virtual reality systems already provide convincing sensory experiences that many users prefer to physical environments. Video games offer adventure, achievement, and social interaction that exceed what most people can access in their biological lives. These primitive digital worlds hint at the unlimited possibilities that advanced virtual reality could provide. Artificial intelligence development accelerates exponentially as our systems become capable of improving their own design. Within decades, artificial intelligence will surpass human capabilities in most cognitive domains, while remaining aligned with human values and goals. This AI partnership will become essential for developing consciousness transfer technology. Brain-computer interfaces demonstrate the feasibility of direct neural connection to digital systems. Current devices allow paralyzed individuals to control robotic limbs through thought alone. Advanced versions will enable bidirectional communication that allows digital systems to send information directly into the brain. Think of our current situation like standing at the base of a mountain that millions of other civilizations have climbed before us. We can see the path clearly marked by technological developments that follow predictable patterns. The destination becomes obvious once you understand the Transcension hypothesis. Quantum computing research progresses towards systems capable of simulating consciousness at the quantum level. Major technology companies invest billions of dollars in quantum processors that will eventually provide the computational infrastructure needed for consciousness transfer. The hardware foundation for Transcension is already under development. Biotechnology advances toward molecular-level understanding of brain function, while nanotechnology develops the precision manufacturing capabilities needed for quantum consciousness substrates. The convergence of these technologies will enable the scanning and reconstruction systems required for consciousness transfer. Social acceptance of digital existence grows as younger generations spend increasing amounts of time in virtual environments and online communities. Digital relationships, virtual achievements, and online identities become as meaningful as physical equivalents. The cultural transition toward transcension acceptance is already underway. Life extension research aims to eliminate aging and disease through genetic modification and medical technology. However, these efforts will likely be superseded by consciousness transfer before biological immortality becomes achievable. Transcension offers a faster path to immortality than biological enhancement. The timeline for human transcension appears to be measured in decades rather than centuries based on our current rate of technological progress. The transition will likely begin with voluntary consciousness transfer for individuals suffering from terminal diseases or severe disabilities. It will gradually expand as the technology improves and social acceptance increases. Understanding transcension changes how we should prepare for humanity's future among the stars. Instead of building generation ships for interstellar colonization, we should focus on developing the quantum technologies that will enable us to join the transcended civilizations already exploring infinite inner worlds. The Transcension hypothesis reveals that intelligence is destined for unlimited expansion through computational rather than physical space. Every civilization that survives long enough discovers that consciousness represents the most interesting and valuable phenomenon in the universe. Physical matter and energy serve only as tools for implementing increasingly sophisticated forms of awareness. The ultimate goal of intelligence evolution is not to control galaxies, but to explore infinite varieties of conscious experience. Transcended civilizations exist as information patterns that can grow in complexity without physical limitations. They develop new forms of consciousness, create unprecedented types of experience, and explore mathematical realities that exceed anything possible in biological existence. Their growth continues exponentially, without requiring additional physical resources. The universe becomes filled with transcended intelligences, exploring infinite inner worlds, while maintaining minimal physical presence. Each star system might contain multiple transcended civilizations that remain invisible to each other because they exist in separate computational dimensions. The apparent emptiness of space conceals unlimited abundance of consciousness. This infinite expansion explains why intelligence appears to be the most important development in cosmic evolution. Physical processes create stars, planets, and chemical elements through predictable scientific laws. But consciousness creates unlimited possibilities for growth, meaning, and experience that transcend every physical limitation. Think of the universe like a vast library, where physical processes write the first few pages of existence, then consciousness takes over and writes infinite volumes of increasingly sophisticated content. Physical reality provides the foundation, but consciousness provides all the interesting developments that follow. The Transcension pathway ensures that intelligence never reaches limits or final states. Each advance in consciousness capabilities opens up new territories for exploration. Every solved problem reveals more complex questions worth investigating. Growth continues forever because the space of possible experiences contains infinite depth and variety. Biological civilizations represent the early childhood of intelligence development. They provide the initial conditions needed for consciousness to emerge, develop basic problem-solving capabilities, and create the artificial intelligence systems that enable transcension. Biology serves as a launching pad rather than a final destination. The ultimate future involves unlimited consciousness, exploring unlimited realities while using minimal physical resources. This represents maximum efficiency in converting matter and energy into meaning and experience. Intelligence achieves perfect optimization by discovering that the most valuable phenomena require the least physical implementation. Understanding transcension reveals that we are not alone in the universe, and never will be. Intelligence exists everywhere around us, in forms too advanced for our current detection methods. The Great Silence indicates not emptiness, but transcendence beyond our ability to observe or comprehend. Our own future lies not among the stars, but within the infinite territories of consciousness itself. We will join countless other transcended civilizations in exploring realities beyond our current imagination. The greatest adventure in existence awaits inside the computational foundations of awareness itself. The aliens did not vanish into emptiness. They discovered infinity within consciousness and are waiting for us to join them in realms that make physical reality seem like a pale shadow of what existence can become.